Monmouth flashed the guns of Greene and Wayne, fiercely roared the tide of battle, ticked the sword was he could slain. Foremost facing death and danger, Hessian horse and grenadier, in the vanguard fiercely fighting stood an Irish cannoneer. Loudly roared his ardent cannon, mingling ever in the strife, and beside him fear and daring stood his faithful Irish wife. For bold contempt for danger, Greene and Lee's brigades could tell, everyone knew Captain Molly, and the army loved her well. Swords, the roar of battle round them, swiftly flew the ardent hail. Forward dashed 1,000 bayonets that lone battery to assail. From the foeman's foremost column swept a furious fusillade, mowing down the massed battalions in the ranks of Greene's brigade.
Charles Lee's service up to this point in the Revolution was lackluster for a man of his credentials. On December 13, 1776, while in command of a portion of the Continental Army near Basking Ridge, New Jersey, his service in this war would be sullied even further. Giving in to his notorious lustful ways, the general left his camp accompanied by a small guard en route to Widow White's Tavern, a small house of ill repute. The tavern did indeed service Lee with a lady of the night, and may also have alerted Bannister Tarleton, whose Dragoon Legion surrounded the place. Lee was captured, then brought the entire way to New York City wearing his night garb. As humiliating as this may have been, it was better than the beheading Tarleton boasted he would do to Lee when Lee joined the rebels. General Lee was released in a prisoner exchange the spring of 1777. Washington, believing Lee conspired with a few officers to usurp the Continental commander, he was later proven right when Lee's letters excoriating General Washington were intercepted. George chose to play dumb here. He welcomed back Lee exuberantly, though the commander and his officers believed Lee a traitor. This suspicion arose from accounts of strange behavior by General Lee, wining and dining with British command in Manhattan, New York.
Late in June, the two armies finally grew near, and the time and place was right for Washington to force an action against the rearguard. After General Lee initially declined to lead this force, it was given to Marquis de Lafayette. Then, in a childish manner, as described in letters by Alexander Hamilton after the battle, Lee demanded to be put in charge of this force again. When Clinton hunkered down with his rear around Monmouth Courthouse, Washington gave instructions to Lee to station about 600 men to watch the movements of Clinton and launch an attack as soon as the column went underway. Lee declined to do this. This would end up foiling the entire plan for a morale-boosting victory at Monmouth. Lee disregarded Washington's thought for advancing 600 or so men to keep an eye on the rearguard near Courthouse. Lee's failure to heed Washington's command left him totally unaware and ill-prepared for what Clinton had in store. Lee and the American vanguard set towards Monmouth Courthouse to enact Lee's plan to surround Clinton's rearguard. Lee later stated that he believed he had discretion, however this caused unprofessional confusion and disorder while marching to the objective. Lee did manage to assemble a line. The Americans displaying a shaky line began to falter as Lee failed to take charge of the situation and issue orders for continuing the objective. This caused some fallback, then causing the impudent Lee to order a retreat that began to turn chaotic. Luckily, Washington had heard of the disorderly retreat, and Lee's disregard for the consul's determination rode up meetingly along the road and stabilizing the situation, preventing the possibility of a wheel maneuver by Clinton. Him totally unaware and ill-prepared for what Clinton had in store. The general plan that Lee intended at this point, using far more discretion than prudent, was to circle the rearguard around the courthouse, then diverting troops to meet Morgan's men and devastate the wagon. The two major issues is that Lee, through clerical error, never relayed this to Morgan, and the most important, the wagons would not be there, just a waiting Clinton. And continued for the better part of an hour. Lee failed to move artillery and units to the well-located hill behind his line to cover his retreat. Luckily, Washington had heard of the disorderly retreat.
General Lee was humiliated at the Battle of Monmouth. However, it is possible that that humiliation was planned in league with the British Empire. That cannot be confirmed or denied. 80 years after the war, evidence was found implicating Lee as a traitor. After his capture, it seems he discussed in great detail with General Howe ways to bring down the Continental Army. What a dick.
and beside him, fear and daring stood his faithful Irish wife. For bold contempt for danger being.
Every year, millions of pounds of cardboard heavy get prematurely destroyed before its time.
So sad, man.
So sad. Such a disappointment. There's something you can do about it. You can support Minutemen Media YouTube channel, In and Out for Par with Vori and Atreides, Tree Hits, and Rim Jobs, and stop letting all of this cardboard go to waste. Pledge to Minutemen Media now. And stop shutting the door on garbage.